It's the Cool Kids Club. You've been invited to the Cool Kids Club. It's so exciting, yeah. Justin likes monsters, yeah. And Amy likes words in the Cool Kids Club. Cool Kids Club.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Cool Kids Club podcast, episode number 67.
What?
I know.
My God.
I'm one of your hosts, Justin.
Oh, hi, Justin. I'm Amy.
Hi. Oh, Amy. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. So nice.
So, are you on... So, as we record this, it's the day after Halloween.
It is.
And I'm really feeling the Halloween hangover today.
I am feeling the Halloween hangover. I can't wait to get all my Halloween decorations down.
Yeah, I was actually just thinking about that. I came home from work and I was like, I have to take all this down. It's depressing now.
It is.
I guess it's over.
And it's the same as Christmas. Christmas is the same way for me, where the day after Christmas, I'm just like...
I snap out of that spirit real quick.
Yeah. It's not even that I snap
and I'm like,
out of it.
Get it all the hell out of here.
It's not even that I snap out of it. It's that looking at it makes me sad because I know it's over. And I know I'm not going to get it again.
And the only thing left to do is take it down.
Yes. Yeah. Now, I don't usually take it down until after New Year's. I do leave it up for like a week. Christmas stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
Just that week between Christmas and New Year's is...
It's a wasteland.
It is a wasteland.
Yeah. No, I never know what day it is.
That's like not a real week.
It's not real.
Like,
Time is not real.
Anything that happens that week does not count.
No, it doesn't. No, it really doesn't. So,
not quite sure why we're talking about this.
Well, because we're in a holiday hangover right now.
We are in a holiday
We've
hangover. We've transitioned
for sure. back to Cool Kids Club for a little while.
Yes. The Ghoul Kids Club has.
We've hung it up.
We've. It has been buried and it's dead. But fear not, it will rise again.
As it always does.
In the tradition of all the great zombies and monsters and slasher movie villains.
Yes.
But we're not Yule Kids Club yet either.
We're not. We're in the wasteland.
We are in the
We're
wasteland.
in that weird November time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's not Thanksgiving yet.
It's not Thanksgiving yet. It's like I have to go to work. Like, I don't know. It's just like
and I feel like we have to get it out there at the beginning. What the weather's like, because I know that's what people want to hear. It's cold.
We're gonna start bringing just a weather report as part of the podcast.
This is it.
It is cold as shit, you guys. We had a super cold Halloween.
And hey, let us know where you live, and we'll do your local forecast.
Oh, we will. Locals on the 10s.
Shout at us. On the 10s.
On the 10s, yeah.
So that will just be the podcast from now on.
Is everybody who writes in, they're just their local weather forecast.
Yes.
This is a weather podcast now.
Sorry, I'm scrapping all these notes.
This is we'll do this one. We'll do this last one. How's that? And then we'll be a weather podcast.
Okay, well, what are we doing today?
Well,
in the wasteland between Halloween and Christmas.
So,
what are we doing?
We're doing a show that to us always feels like an autumn, like a fall show. I don't know why, because it's not like Gilmore Girls where you really associate fall with it. It's just something about the show that's very cozy. It's nostalgia within nostalgia.
Nostalgia-inception.
It's nostalgia-inception. Which we have really not talked about as a show topic yet. You know, we've mentioned
we've
that
touched
phenomenon.
on it a little bit, and I'll be honest, covering that 70s show comes with some baggage.
It sure does.
Mainly because of the cast.
Yeah.
But really for me, it's just a smokescreen to talk about the wave of 70s nostalgia, 60s and 70s nostalgia. Yes,
that was so big in the 90s, right?
And I feel like we touched on it a bit with maybe Spice Girls.
Yeah, I think
because there was a lot of that, and Austin Powers.
Now that's true. We did touch on it.
That's the more.
That's
60s.
definitely 60s. Whereas this is, of course, rooted right in the 70s. But a lot of that fashion came back around in the 90s, is coming back around again because it's been 20 years.
Yes.
So yeah, so we want to address that. We understand that, that some of the castmates of this show have made it kind of hard to talk about it.
It's certainly kind of tainted.
It is certainly kind of tainted. And we will get into that stuff as we get closer to the end of the episode.
Sure, yeah.
But the thing is that we both love this show. It still makes me feel nostalgic watching it because it's something I watched in the 90s. And it's also nostalgic for a time that I wasn't even born yet for, but somehow I'm nostalgic for. So,
yes.
I don't know. What are your feelings on that, Justin, on talking about it? Despite
I mean, you can't just pretend these things didn't exist.
Oh, sure.
If we did that with everyone who's done terrible things, we would have nothing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But, I think the correct thing to do is talk about it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
And don't act like it didn't happen. And, and also I don't think me streaming that 70 show episodes on Peacock or wherever is going to put Danny Masterson in jail any fewer days than he's already going to be in jail for. So,
Yeah, exactly.
Don't feel like I'm really hurting anybody.
No.
But let's refocus.
Yeah. Because we do want to talk about that 70s show, because it is a show that we love.
Because it brings me so much joy.
It does bring me so much
show.
joy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, certain seasons. No.
certain seasons of it, yeah. There's definitely a decline that happens.
It's an 8-season show, so...
It's 8 seasons. It's 200 episodes. 200 episodes?
Right, very even 200. That feels good.
200s.
Yeah. Exactly.
And it ran from 1998 to 2006. So 1998. Oh, this is
That's a good year.
That's a good year. That's peak, like, 70s nostalgia.
It is.
I mean, there was so much of that.
Yeah.
So much of the, and you kind of, I feel like it's like late 60s through the 70s.
Yes.
Yeah. Flower power, the hippie stuff, disco, which is a little later.
I mean, my God, when Cher came out with Believe, was it this year?
My
98, 99?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I mean, that was very... You believe in life after love. That, definitely
Glad
sounded...
everyone just got our Cher impressions.
Yeah. I'll expand on that later.
Oh, good.
Yeah. By the way, it's bizarre to think that this show started in 1998 when I was in 6th grade, and it ended after I graduated high school.
Yeah. Yeah. And we are so much further from the start of this show.
Oh, God.
We're probably further from the end of this show without stopping to do the math in my head real quick than certainly they were from the 70s in 1998.
Yeah, I think we are. Mm-hmm. Well, because it takes place, starts in 76. So that would have been 22 years. So we're not, we're definitely past that point at the start of the show. 22 years would have been 2020.
Which makes me want to throw up.
It does.
It definitely does.
It really does. Let's not think about that too much.
Let's not think about it. Let's move past it.
It's funny, though, because this show takes place starting in 76, and I think they were like, oh, well, we don't know how long we'll go, and then it went for 8 years.
We'll get like 2-3 seasons
tops. And then it ran for 8, so they had to start slowing shit down.
That's the thing, because it starts in 76, and then after 12 episodes out of 200, it goes to 77.
Yeah, they really jumped the gun on that one.
Yeah, they really did, and then it has to slow down drastically.
Oh, yeah.
Really, the chronology doesn't make a lot of sense. Like the last 3-4 seasons are.
You've got a couple Christmas episodes within one year.
Several Christmases a year.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah. But you know how that is. You just roll with it. I mean, the kids on Bob's Burgers haven't are still in the same grade. So, you just roll with it.
Right. The Simpsons should be like Homer and Marge should probably be dead by
Yeah,
this point,
Maggie. It should be about
aging.
Maggie's family at this point.
It should be about Maggie's children growing up.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So, we suspend our disbelief. It's a little different, I think, with an animated show than with, like, a real show.
It certainly is.
You get, like, a Stranger Things where they're starting to...
where people actually do age in real life.
Yes.
And don't wear the same clothes all the time.
Every day, yeah. But yeah, so it runs... I do think... I've always loved, despite not loving the 8th season, I do love the finale, which, of course, we won't spoil anything... But it does...
I'll spoil it. I don't care.
Well, I guess nothing specific, but, like, I'll spoil the fact that it ends on New Year's Eve, 1979. So the end of the show is the 70s. We should back up. Yeah.
And say, how can you tell what year it is in each episode? Because there's a way to tell.
Oh, yes, there is a way to tell. It is the license plate in the credits. The
license plate on the Vista Cruiser... at the end credits, always has the year that it's set in the corner.
That's right.
And in fact, the last thing on the show, when you hear them counting down, the New Year's 1979, is the year on the bumper the
tag.
year on the license plate changes to 80.
That's right. Oh, yeah.
Amy's getting emotional already.
I am. But let's like roll back a minute and talk about talk a little bit real quickly about like how this show came to be, and a little bit. I think most of us, pretty much all 6 of the cast members have gone on to have, fairly. They're fairly popular. I think we pretty much know who most of these people are.
Well, none of the kids were in anything before this.
No, yeah, this was the first. Well, now Justin, Mila Kunis was in some Lisa Frank commercials.
That's true, she was. And I know Ashton Kutcher did modeling, and Danny Masterson did a lot of commercials.
Yes. But other than that, yeah. Laura Prepon was also a model. In, France or something. Weird.
France?
Yes.
France?
Yes. But you're right.
That
None of them
weird.
had ever done, like, a film or a TV show before. None of the kids.
So that 70s show was created by Bonnie and Terry Turner and Mark Brazil. Person's name I noticed on my last rewatch, who's credited, and I didn't realize, was a writer on the show for many years, is Will Forte.
You didn't realize that?
Well, no.
Really? Oh, yeah. I've noticed that.
I'm sorry. I didn't know everything.
Ago. But yes, he is.
Not everyone knows everything,
some
Amy.
Of those, well, I assume you know everything about everything we're going to talk about.
Well, you need to quit putting me up on a pedestal. Because I'm going to let you down every time.
Yeah, you do.
Oh, my.
We've already talked about, how many seasons it took place. I'm sure you're familiar enough with the show, even if you never watched it, to know that it basically centers around these 6 teenagers in this fictional town of Point Place, Wisconsin. It's supposed to be close to Kenosha. They talk a lot about Kenosha.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So...
driving distance to the Canadian border, we get some Canadian adventures.
Yes, we do.
Driving distance to Chicago, up there in the Midwest.
Yeah, it's up there. Just every town USA.
Just a podunk Midwest town.
That's right. Where there's nothing to do except for hang out with your friends and listen to music and watch TV and indulge in some recreational drugs. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's I guess what you did in the 70s.
And that's pretty much what the show's about.
I mean, as someone who lives in a podunk southern town, that's pretty much what we still do. Only there's a lot more opiates now, so it's not as fun. It's way more of a bummer.
Well, not that you're doing or I'm doing.
Well, no. But, regardless.
Less about the weed, yeah. Now, our mom did grow up in the 70s. She would have been a little older, so she graduated in 1975. So I just like to think that this is what Mom's high school experience was exactly like this.
Yeah, I mean, I doubt it.
feel like it could. It was probably
just
close.
from what I know. Just from what I know.
Probably close.
Well, tell us about the cast. Tell us about the teams.
Yeah. Well, so the premise of the show it takes place mostly. Our lead character is Eric Foreman, and that's of course played by Topher Grace, which I think is always interesting that not only did none of them really do anything before this, but he was just a regular high school student, and they saw him in a high school play. The creators saw him and wanted to hire him. They just thought, he's this perfect, like, skinny, nerdy kid who loves Star Wars, who's kind of I guess he starts off as kind of being the straight man, in a sense.
He's your leading man, but he's not a typical leading man.
He's definitely not your typical lead. No,
he's skinny. He's gangly. He's very dry.
He is very sarcastic. Mm-hmm.
Very sarcastic. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah,
but he's just kind of a lovable scamp, though.
Lovable scamp. For most seasons, again.
Early on, he is. Especially,
early on, yeah. And of course, you've got to have his love interest. And what I like about this group is that they all grew up together. The characters, they all grew up together, so they've all known each other since they were little kids. And even though Jackie, who is Mila Kunis's character, kind of becomes part of the gang by dating Kelso, they also flash back at some point to them meeting her, which is to assume like they've at least known her since they were kids.
They've known her for a long time, but she's not really part of the gang.
Yeah.
She's sort of in the first season, she's not really in the gang. She's
like
the girl Kelso's
interloper.
Dating.
Yeah, she's the girl
the
Kelso's
interloper
dating,
who no one
like
can
her.
stand.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then of course you have Fez.
Interloper. Word.
You have Fez, who enters the group. He is the foreign exchange student.
Yes.
Yeah. And so particularly in the first season, it's a lot of, he's learning about like what it's like to be in America.
Fish out of water jokes.
Lots of fish out of water jokes. Yeah, they really turned that character into a real caricature by the end of it.
Oh man, the Flanderization on this show.
Yeah,
if you're familiar with that term.
Yeah,
it's bad. It gets everyone's a caricature by the end.
Oh yeah. But yeah, so you've got Donna Pinciotti, literal girl next door.
Hot Donna.
That Eric is of course in love with. A couple of them are in love with. And she's very much she's very intelligent. She wants to be a writer. She's very tomboyish. She's not, exactly.
She's much more athletic than Eric.
She's much more athletic than
she's taller.
She's really she's taller. Yeah. So it's.
I feel like you like her a lot for that reason. She's tall.
Oh, I've just always liked Donna as
just a tall leading lady.
I gotta love that.
Who's taller than her man?
That's right, just like me. I've just always loved Donna. But she's kind of, she sort of like takes no shit, like because she hangs with this gang and they're always trying to give her shit, so she gives it right back to her.
Well, and until Jackie comes along, which is when the show starts,
right.
It's sort of a recent development. She's the only girl
in the group, yeah.
In this group of guys, so she's
she holds her own.
She holds her own.
Yeah. And then of course you have Hyde, she's played by Danny Masterson. He's Eric's best friend. They do a lot of, with that character, I feel like they did so much growth. Well, just to ruin it all in the end, but they did a lot with that character in general. I loved the whole like he comes from a very like shitty family, like deadbeat parents, like dad ran off, that kind of thing. And I think it's like season 2 maybe, where you find out like his mom leaves and he actually comes and lives with the Foremans. And I always loved the dynamic with like Red and Kitty and him, and having kind of like this extra son that they've sort of informally adopted. And I think that helps his character quite a bit. But yeah, his whole thing, he's very like anti-establishment.
It's such a it's such a bummer with the real life Danny Masterson stuff that he is, such a piece of shit.
He is, yes.
And because arguably Hyde's the best character.
Yeah, I was gonna say Hyde has always been one of my favorite characters.
I think he definitely shows. Again, they throw it all away by the end.
Yeah,
but he definitely has the most growth and had the potential to if they had kind of stuck the landing with
like,
his
like
character.
they intended to. We just that 8th season, we just don't have to recognize it. We don't want to.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about it.
I know. But then we have Kelso.
Most of the rest of the show is gonna be about Randy.
Oh no!
I'm waiting to get through all these characters so we can talk about
Your
Randy
favorite
for 45
character,
minutes.
Randy.
My favorite character, Randy.
Fucking Randy. God.
Love always, Randy.
Love always, Randy. Okay, well, let's finish up these other stupid characters.
Rounding out these other stupid characters, we have Michael Kelso, who is the stupidest of the characters.
Yes, absolutely.
He is the dumb pretty boy. Ashton Kutcher, of course, this is his big breakout role.
And let me say, he plays that so well. I can't imagine another person playing
I don't have anything against Ashton Kutcher. I mean, I don't really feel strongly about him one way or the other. No, not really, more so than any other celebrity.
Yeah.
But I think he is really, really funny as Michael Kelso.
So
and honestly,
funny.
for me, maybe the funniest character.
Yeah. They're all funny in their own ways, of course. And it's like his comedy is really... I think you could write it off as being really broad because he's dumb. But
it is.
His delivery... it's about his performance. It's not necessarily always about the writing of it. Because
right, like every sitcom has, or most sitcoms have, the dumb guy or whatever.
Right.
That's a big trope.
Yeah.
But he does well with it.
It's just
He's
something
really
about
funny.
the way he plays it is very, very funny. And he is, like we said, he's dating Jackie. This is kind of just like his newest girlfriend. She's a year younger than the rest of them, and she is just spoiled and rich and
horrible.
Just horrible. She's she's self-centered. She's a terrible girlfriend.
Superficial.
Very vapid. Yes, very superficial.
Yeah.
Now she has a lot of growth. She does too. She has a ton of growth on the show. And it's funny because her and Donna are complete opposites that end up sort of getting forced to be friends.
They become best friends,
and then
eventually.
they genuinely become best friends, which I love.
Yeah.
And then of course we talked a little bit about Fez, which is played by Wilmer Valderrama, who is the foreign exchange student.
He's horny. He likes candy. That's Fez.
That is really what they boil him down to be at the end.
Yeah, that's pretty much all it is by the end.
Yep. Always trying to hook up with Donna or Jackie or anybody who'll have him. Just anybody. Yeah.
Inanimate objects.
And then weirdly turns into kind of a confident ladies' man by the end.
Oh, he's definitely a ladies' man by the end.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
It is weird. Anyway. But you know what? As much as I do love the teens, Red and Kitty are...
Now, Red and Kitty, I feel like, are the breakout performer. They're the heart and soul of this show.
They really are. And these are, this is Kurtwood Smith and Deborah Jo Rupp. These are veteran actors. Obviously they're not new to the game.
No, man. Red Foreman was fighting RoboCop.
That's right. Deborah Jo Rupp, she was Seinfeld's assistant, among many other things.
Yes, she was.
Yeah. This is Eric's parents, of course. And
yeah, that's so the whole show's set at their house. Mm-hmm. The teens kind of have the basement.
Yeah.
Right. So that's sort of your big major set. How every sitcom has that one place that's the default, or one or two places that are the default. Like in Seinfeld, it's either Jerry's apartment or the coffee shop.
Yes.
Or every single sitcom has that.
Yes.
The big one in that 70s show is the basement. That's the iconic location.
Exactly. Yes. They do have, they're in, I'd say the second would be the kitchen. They're in the kitchen a ton. More so than they're ever
Always
in the living
eating.
room. They're
Always
always
eating.
eating. They're always if
eating
they're not
lunch.
in the basement, they're in the kitchen. Occasionally the living room, and occasionally
The driveway.
oh, the driveway. I'd forgotten about the driveway. I was thinking the hub.
Yeah, the hub.
The hub where
The
they
hub.
go. Yeah. Yeah.
Go and get burgers and fries and play Space
a bit,
Invaders.
It was their that was their Happy Days.
Well, it's funny you mention
yeah.
Happy Days because actually that 70s show gets compared a lot to Happy Days because
see
Happy
that.
Days was the same kind of thing. It was
Yep.
nostalgia from 20 years before it was made.
It was a show in the 70s written about the 50s.
And we probably talked about this during Nick at Night, but it's weird that I have nostalgia for Happy Days because Happy Days was on Nick at Night in the 90s.
That's right. Yes.
Because when it was on Nick at Night in the 90s, it was 70s nostalgia, but the show itself is 70s nostalgia about the 50s.
Yes. So
And it kind of makes you realize that we're all dying.
no, I think it kind of
It's
makes
kind
you
of like,
realize that
like
everything.
time it moves very quickly, doesn't it?
It does. 20 years, everything comes back around.
Boom.
Boom.
Nothing.
We're back in low-waisted pants before you knew it.
Oh my god.
I will never.
I don't have an ass, so all my pants are low-waisted pants.
I have to wear them up so high so that they don't show my butt crack because I have no ass. But you know what? 2000s, butt crack was in.
Oh, butt crack definitely.
Butt cleavage?
The 2000s were definitely a butt crack heyday.
Yeah, that was very good. Good decade to be a crack.
Good decade to be cracking.
Yep, that's right. Anyway, you have Red and Kitty. Red's a very, hard ass. He's a veteran. He has no.
He's your serious conservative overbearing dad.
Yes.
Who's like more of a man than you'll ever be. But he's got a soft side. He's a good guy.
He absolutely is a good guy. Which is what keeps you from just like hating him, because he actually
and
gives
honestly,
a shit.
the Flanderization of the characters, for me, the breaking them down into caricatures of themselves is maybe worst with him.
Yeah.
Him and Fez, probably.
Him and Fez, yeah. Just kind of they become one-note characterizations.
I really love the, because he's, the dynamic with him and Eric is so it's like Hank and Bobby Hill.
It very much is. Yeah.
But Red's more like
more of a hard ass.
More antagonistic.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's still that kind of dynamic, and I love those moments in King of the Hill.
Yeah.
Also, like I like the moments in the early seasons of that '70s show where you actually do see growth in their relationship.
Yeah, where it's like
and again, it kills me because a lot of that is killed by the end.
It really is.
A lot of it is just undone. Like, you could say that their, Red and Eric's relationship in the first couple of seasons is better than it is by the end.
Yeah.
Like, it only gets worse.
It does kind of only get...
After a certain point.
Yeah. There's resolution there. I will say. So, you do get that. But yeah.
And Kitty is just everyone's mom.
Yes.
Right? She's the mother, not only of Eric and Eric's sister Lori, who we'll talk about in a second.
Minute, yeah.
But also the pretty much adoptive mother of Hyde, and then kind of the de facto mother of the entire group.
Yeah, it's like they're always at her house.
Definitely Fez's mother figure.
Oh, yeah.
And then as we move on, we have,
she's Jackie's mother figure.
Donna's mother gets written off the show. Jackie's mother
runs off.
Runs off.
Yeah.
So she quite literally is like kind of all these kids are just hanging out at her house constantly.
Yeah, and I think she loves that though. I think she does. She loves taking care of them.
Much to Red's chagrin, who just wants to be left alone to watch football and drink beer and live his life in peace.
Yeah, and she's like, "No, we got to keep having these kids at our house. Like,
no,
even after they've graduated
6
high
kids
school,
in the house.
Yeah, like they can all just stay here. Like,
right.
By the end of the show, Jackie lives with Donna for a while. I was gonna say Hyde has lived there. Is Hyde the only one who's lived there? Fez has lived there.
Fez lives there. Jackie lives there for a minute, I think.
That's right. Jackie does live there for a minute. And then she lives with Donna next door.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like a lot of them. Kelso's the only one whose, like, family does not fall apart at some point. during the show.
We get a few glimpses of Kelso's home life, particularly his brother Casey Kelso,
that's right,
who was Luke Wilson.
He's like, there's like a ton of them. There's like 7 kids, so you get kind of the vibe that he gets away with everything because nobody's paying attention to him. So like that's
no one can keep track of all of them, and they're all just as dumb as he is.
Yes, that's correct.
So he pretty much just does whatever he wants.
Yeah, exactly. But tell us a little bit more. We got a couple other adult characters.
Yeah, so Laurie Foreman, she is kind of a recurring character. She's a regular in the first couple of seasons. She is played mostly by Lisa Robin Kelly, who plays her in the first 3 seasons. She is Eric's older sister. In the first season, she's flunked out of college and is like coming home.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you're boiling her down to one joke, she's the slut. You know,
yeah.
Pretty much. She likes to torture Eric. She's manipulative and lies and is all around just terrible. But she's hot, so she gets away with a lot of it.
And, of course, has a relationship with Kelso while he's dating Jackie.
Yeah, and I want you basically to go on a tangent about your feelings about the various relationships on this show.
Oh, I will.
Yeah. Oh, don't worry. Don't worry. I will. So the actress Lisa Robin Kelly, actually, she comes back in season 5 very briefly.
Yes.
They set up a storyline with her, and then she leaves again because she sort of disappears after the 3rd season.
And they don't. Yeah, I don't even remember if they mention.
They kind of mention like they write her off in the 3rd season that she's going to beauty school.
Oh, that's right.
But then you don't hear and then she comes back briefly, and then in season 6 she's briefly played by another actress, Christina Moore, and then she's written off entirely, and you just never hear about her again. And that actress, the original actress who played her most of the time, passed away. The reason she was kind of on and off the show was her addiction issues.
Yeah.
And she did end up passing away in 2013.
That was very sad.
Yeah. Donna's parents. Donna lives next door, and her parents are best friends with Red and Kitty. So you got Bob and Midge, Bob Pinciotti.
Hey there, hi there, oh there.
Hey there, hi there, oh there.
Very Wisconsin.
Oh, very.
And he's very 70s. Like every 70s trope or trend, like Bob wants to be like trendy. He's got the open shirts. He's got the gaudy rings.
The perm. The disco with the perm.
Yeah. It's a complete opposite of Red. Like in every way.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. But they are best friends. Though I feel like Red is often just kind of views him as like a nuisance. Just like a...
Yeah.
Like a...
They have some good moments, though.
They do have some good moments.
Yeah.
They're few and far between, but yeah. And then you have Midge, who's played by the late great Tanya Roberts.
Yes, and one of Charlie's Angels.
Well, I mostly know her from Beastmaster and the wonderful underrated horror movie Tourist Trap.
Oh shit, she is in Tourist Trap. That's right. Forgot about that.
Yeah. She's Midge. She's Donna's mom. Super hot.
Sure.
You know, the object of all the guys' desires.
Yeah. She's very dumb. Bless her heart.
she's big dumb.
Again, the hotter you are, the dumber you are on this show.
Heart of gold. But Bob's the kind of guy who goes for the dumb hot ones.
That's true. Bob's
that's
not
the kind of woman
guy.
he's looking for. No, he's not.
No, he's very chauvinistic. He's very He kind of, he wants his lady to do everything for him. He's very old school.
Yeah, and especially in the early seasons, they use these characters to explore a lot of like kind of the social stuff going on in the 70s. And one of those things was like feminism.
Yeah, absolutely.
And attitudes about sex and sexuality that were happening. And the Bob and Midge characters kind of, they use them a lot for that.
Yes.
You also get things like, obviously generational conflict.
Yeah,
you know, you
for
get
sure.
with the kids and the adults. In the first and second season, like economic hardship, like you have Red getting laid off and all of that.
Yeah.
So a lot of that stuff after the first couple of seasons kind of goes by the wayside as the characters are established. And honestly, like except for the fashions and some plot points. Like, it could kind of be set in any decade. Like,
yeah.
Decade's not real. Like, if you just made them dressed in 80s clothes, it could be set in the 80s, and it'd be the same thing.
Yeah,
you know?
but those first, I'd say, like, maybe 3 seasons do a lot more to establish the time period.
Especially with fashion. Music is also a big theme through the show, especially like rock versus disco.
Yes.
You know, because those are kind of the two big genres of the 70s. Obviously, they bring up movies, particularly Star Wars, and Eric's character, who's obsessed with Star Wars.
Do they go see The Exorcist at some point?
I know they go see Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
That's the one I'm thinking of. They go see Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Yeah. Well, the last adult we really have, and he's kind of in and out, is Tommy Chong's character, Leo.
Oh, yeah. Who's Tommy Chong basically playing himself.
Yeah, as he usually is, yeah.
Yeah. The interesting thing about Tommy Chong's character, so he comes on as originally as Hyde's boss at the photo hut.
Yeah.
And he's the stoner hippie. He's playing Tommy Chong. And he leaves in season 4 because he was arrested
in real life. Yes,
in real life, for like trafficking drug paraphernalia, like bongs and rolling papers, like marijuana stuff.
Oh my god!
And did a couple years.
Very on brand for his character.
They wrote off the show. Fun little bit of trivia. When he was in prison during this time, he shared a cell with what's his name? Wolf of Wall Street dude.
Really?
The guy that DiCaprio played, Wolf of Wall Street. His name is
why can't I remember his name? But yeah.
Jordan or something?
Jordan. Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh,
there's a little bit of trivia for you.
Wow. Interesting.
But then he got out of prison, and then he came back toward the end.
Yeah. They really beef up. They make his character more prevalent in that last season when they've lost 2 of their stars.
They've lost a lot of big... by the end, they've lost several big cast members.
Yeah.
So, all of a sudden, Leo's like a main character. And,
yeah.
I mean, Leo's fine. But...
yeah. He's very one note, and always has been.
And it's a good note.
It's a good note. It is.
It's a good, solid note.
He is in love with Kitty, I do want to point out. He always has a crush on
Aren't we
Kitty.
all?
I mean, yeah.
I mean, pretty much all of them, except Eric, admit to having a crush on Kitty at some point.
Yeah. She's your classic.
She's a cutie.
She's a cutie. And she's a little feisty.
Oh, she's definitely feisty.
What is that one episode where they have to... It may be a later season where I think she gets drunk and they have to pick her up somewhere. I feel like it's a later season.
When she's at the strip club?
No, although, God...
When she's dancing at the strip club?
And that that was not... I mean, that was... You can see them
That's
laughing.
Really them laughing. That's really them
laughing about it, yeah. Kitty's the best.
She really is.
Well, so what are some of the... I mean, we could... There's 200 episodes. We could sit here and talk about all of the wonderful episodes of this show.
Well, I think one of the big recurring gags, right's the circle.
Yes.
That's the big one. I feel like that's the one that most defines the show.
I think it's so brilliant the way they do it, because they're like, how do we... it's 1998... They're a lot stricter. I mean, this is a primetime television show. You're like, we can't show these characters smoking marijuana. I mean, it's definitely not legal anywhere in 1998. So, it's still pretty taboo. And I do think it's brilliant the way they come up with the idea of the circle, which is, of course, a common thing. People sitting around in a circle passing, a joint. But the way they do it with the camera... where they of course never show any drugs, they just show them. They'll show maybe some smoke or something, but it's very clear.
There's always you always know what they're doing.
You always know what they're doing. It's always very clear. But I just thought that was a brilliant way to get around that. Yeah, and it is.
And they have like the circle. If you're not familiar, is basically they're sitting in a circle and the camera goes around to each person and they say something and they're progressing the scene. And usually that's when they're like working on solutions to their problem in the episode, right?
Yeah.
It's where they come up with all their great ideas when you're smoking, right?
Of course, yes. Yeah.
And then it usually goes horribly wrong, just like in real life.
Just like in real life, exactly.
And then they have the really like wide angle lens to make it look like kind of druggy.
Yes.
A little more druggy.
Yes.
And then you have where they do occasionally, especially in the early seasons, the little trick where they move the background, like he's hit, like
oh yeah,
like it's like
Eric's
watching Red and Kitty yell at him, and like the kitchen walls like
yes,
shifting
they
behind
did that
them
a
and
couple
moving.
times. Yeah.
That's a pretty good little gag.
That is pretty good.
The water tower.
Yes, the water
tower. Another iconic
from the water tower.
Specifically falling from the water tower. Specifically Kelso falling from the water tower.
Yeah.
Someone always falls from the water tower. I guess that was a popular hangout spot in small towns. I've never hung. Have you ever hung out at a water tower?
No, but I'm afraid of heights, so.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
I feel
climb
like
up on something like that,
yeah, I'd be like that. But I mean, I got a good view of the town, probably.
Sure.
You know? People aren't going to find you up there.
You'll see a lot on your way down.
You will see a lot. You will.
Very quickly.
Very quickly. Yeah.
Yeah, they like to go up there and vandalize it. That's where Eric proposes to Donna. Spoiler alert.
Very ill-conceived proposal.
By the writers or by Eric?
Both. Both. Yeah. That's the beginning of the end.
Tell us about, like, the... is it really... You think that's the beginning of the end?
Well, like, the very big... I mean, it's still good for a couple more seasons, but that... The last time I went back and rewatched it, it was like... Okay, that's really... Like, that's the first... It kind of is like, they aren't sure... I think it's because they drag that out for, like, 2 full seasons. 2.5 seasons. Yeah. I think that's... To me, I'm just like, they don't know what to do... with these two. Like, yeah, they don't know what to do with them. What were you going to ask? Talk about the Vista Cruiser?
Well, yeah, tell us about the Vista Cruiser, and then I want to hear your relationship thoughts.
I have a lot.
The Vista Cruiser's Eric's car. It's the Aztec called Oldsmobile.
It's just as important to the storyline as anything else, I think.
It's its own character.
It is its own character. It's like the city of New York.
Except for the last
Sex
season,
and
we
City.
don't talk. Oh, that's idiotic.
It is its own character.
Yeah, and it is where the opening credits take place until the last season.
Of course. If you don't know, the last season, Topher Grace leaves at the end of season 7 to go off.
And also,
and do
Ashton Kutcher's only
3.
in like the first couple episodes in the finale.
Exactly.
So you basically, the last season, you have two of the major cast. Two major cast members
leave.
2 of the big ones.
And I'll be honest. I mean, the 8th season is pretty bad, but
it's not just their absence. It's the writing.
It's the writing.
But April and I were watching last time we were
way.
watching it. It definitely was. Like, the 7th season's not great either.
No, it's not.
The show. I mean, really, it's the first 4. The first 4 seasons are great.
Yes.
The 5th and 6th seasons are good.
The
7th season's okay. The 8th season's terrible.
That's correct. It's almost unwatchable.
I really do. I watched it on our last rewatch, and
Did you?
I never go back and.
No, I usually just skip and then watch the finale because they all come back for the finale, and it has a good. Well, some parts of it have a good ending. But yeah, let's talk.
Well,
let's just talk.
This is the
time. This is the time to talk.
This is the time. It feels organic. Mm-hmm. Tell us your thoughts on the various relationships.
Oh my God!
At the heart and soul of this show. Let's start with Eric and Donna because we've already talked about that.
Yeah, Eric and Donna are the main couple, I guess, because Eric is technically the main character, and there's the first 4 seasons. You've got, you go from them kind of having a crush on each other, but they don't know it yet, to they've dated, then they've broken up, then they've gotten back together. I mean, just like any sitcom couple. And honestly, I probably would have rather them just like broke them up again a couple more times than to have done the like 2 season long, like, there's all this talk about how, they don't, I don't know, if they get back together or something and then he proposes and it's just like, that's when I feel like Donna does a lot of really stupid things, like not going to school, even though she's like very intelligent, very motivated to go to college and do something with her life and not stay there. And she literally stays for Eric and goes to community college and takes some classes. And they mentioned that once, and then gets a full-time job at the radio station. And I feel like she gives up a lot to stay, and Eric gives up nothing. And then it's like, you know, he proposes and then doesn't show up on their wedding day. And it's just like, it's just obnoxious.
It does. It gets obnoxious, yeah.
It gets obnoxious with them. Yeah. I think Laura Prepon's a great actress. And I love her as Donna, but I think that she compromises a lot of stuff to stay, and then ultimately he leaves. To go to, the whole like 7th season where he just decides he's going to do nothing and is like trying to figure out what career he wants to do. He is so fucking annoying.
Well, and it also reeks to me, yeah, because it's like this season-long storyline.
Literally.
Like taking a year off. And it reeks to me of like, okay, these characters have graduated high school. There's no real reason any of them should still be here.
Yeah.
But we can't, because it's a sitcom, you can't change the status quo too much. So we're struggling with reasons to, why are they still living in this house? Why are they not moving on?
Yep. Yep. I mean, and you
Well, tell us about your favorite couple.
Okay. Well, it's hard to talk about my favorite couple because it's Jackie and Hyde. And again, Danny Masterson's a piece of shit. But undoubtedly the best couple on the show is Jackie and Hyde. And I think anybody who watches the show would probably agree with that. They both made each other better. They both made the other person grow. They start off, of course, hating each other. Everybody hates Jackie pretty much. Almost no one more than Hyde. They are complete opposites.
They're the ones that are the most different, I think.
Yes. And it starts out as sort of it's like the beginning of the 5th season, and it's like, although they do have a great little thing in like season 2 or 3 where Jackie decides she has a crush on him because he helps her get over her breakup with Kelso and kind of like becomes her friend a little bit. And then he ends up taking the fall for her when she goes to get him weed. And so he's like her hero for a little while, and they go out on a date and they kiss, and they're both just like, oh yeah, there was nothing there. But like clearly there was something there, and they don't pick it up again until like a season and a half later, which is interesting. Like her and Kelso get back together and all that stuff. But they definitely like they lay that.
Well, then you have that's the whole storyline of he's having an affair with Lori while he's dating Jackie Kelso.
Yeah, that's in the beginning. Yeah, which I hate, and it's just it sucks. But yeah,
you hate that? It's
fun. I guess it's funny for like the bit. You know, Jackie's pretty insufferable during that point. So
yeah.
But I think them breaking
plus
up,
Michael Kelso just being as dumb as he is and trying to juggle 2 relationships.
That is funny.
Comedy fodder.
It is great. That's true.
And you have like Hyde who just like eggs shit on.
Oh yeah, because he knows. Yeah, because
eventually they all know.
Yeah, and they're all keeping it from Jackie, and because at that point Jackie's like in the whether they like it or not, she's in the group. Yeah, and Hyde's always trying to put him in situations where he's going to get caught, just to see him fumble. So that is funny. Yeah. I think I just really hate Lori. Like, she brings nothing to it. So, like, anytime she's involved, I'm just like, oh. But, yeah, she's just annoying. But there's some good growth there. Like, her and Kelso end up breaking up a second time because they kind of realize...
There's so much on again, off again with all of them.
There's a lot with all of them, yeah.
And to where it even becomes a joke they reference in the show of just like how they keep coupling up.
Yeah. And Fez is in love with Jackie, of course, the whole time. Because, he would have sex with anybody, but he's in love with Jackie.
And probably does.
Yeah. And lo and behold, that's just who they put her with at the end, and it's terrible. It's just fucking awful.
The 8th season's so bad. How does Jackie end up with Fez? Come on.
Yeah. Yep.
Terrible.
I mean, just
bad.
it's just bad.
I do like that, and we'll talk about it more here in a minute, in that 90s show, that they basically retconned that.
Oh, they did. They absolutely did. And of course, Danny Masterson does not come back. I assume he's not invited back for that 90s show.
Well, he won't be available to film anymore, even if he was invited
not.
back, which he was not.
Well, and I don't think, I mean, Netflix, I don't think he could work for Netflix anyway, because
Netflix
he was fired.
Already fired him once.
Yes, they've already fired him once. So he was not a part of it. So you couldn't have Jackie go back with Hyde, of course. So you had Jackie get back with Kelso, which, of course, Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis in real life are married, which is very cute. And
yeah, the thing is, here's the thing. Even though, like, so Jackie and Hyde might be the best couple for all the reasons you've said.
Right.
But I feel like Jackie and Kelso are the couple that they each deserve.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
You know, like, they're both so self-centered and egotistical and flaky. That it's like, you just deserve to be breaking up and getting back together and
forever and ever. Yeah.
Loving each other and hating each other alternately forever.
Yeah. I'm not mad about them ending up together I mean, obviously, I would much prefer that than trying to have Danny Masterson back or somebody else playing Hyde. But yeah, I think, once they, kind of destroyed all that growth you did with Jackie and Hyde, it was just kind of like, okay, well, although at the time, they certainly are the best couple. And I think that's some of the best, like, growth that you get. Even though they do break up a couple times and get back together, ultimately, they're really good for each other. But, of course, we can't have that. We can't have nice things, so.
No, we cannot.
Nope, we sure can't. Nope.
So we mentioned that 90s show, and we'll get to that. But there were a couple other shows.
There were.
So in 1999, there was a British remake.
I did not know this.
Kind of like the American remake of The Office.
Less popular,
reversed.
Less successful.
Much. It was canceled after 6 episodes.
Oh.
It was called Days Like These, and the scripts were pretty much identical.
It just, the British were like, nah, not for us.
No.
No.
It's rubbish.
Shit's rubbish.
The British was like, oh, it's just shite. Oh, I just alienated a couple listeners, I'm sure.
I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry. I love your country.
I want to go there.
We also had that 80s show. Did you ever watch that 80s show?
I remember watching, like, the pilot when it aired, yes. That's all I remember. Did too. Yeah.
So technically this is not a spin-off because it in no way, there's no character crossover, there's no story crossover at all.
No.
With that 70s show. It's basically just like, we're going to do another decade show.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
70s show is still on,
Yeah, this was 2002. It aired 13 episodes. And it's probably most notable for having the Golden God in it.
That's right. Mr. Glenn Howerton, Dennis Reynolds himself.
A pre It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Glenn Howerton.
Two
wars?
Yeah. Comes from the old Golden God himself. Yeah.
So we mentioned some of the cast changes, and we mentioned that Ashton Kutcher and Topher Grace leave.
Yeah.
Topher Grace leaves at the end of season 7. Ashton Kutcher's around for like the first 3 or 4 episodes.
Yeah, he's like a guest star in the first couple. We didn't even mention his character does get a girl pregnant, played by what was her name?
Shannon Elizabeth.
Thank you, Shannon Elizabeth.
He becomes a cop for a while.
I actually do think that him becoming
a highlight. Him becoming a cop is a highlight of the later seasons.
It is. Because it's just like how.
Again, it's comedy fodder. It's like give Kelso a little bit of authority and a gun. And it's just the comedy is just going to write itself, my friend.
That's right. Yeah, it is a highlight. There's some good stuff with that. And I do like the whole thing, like him, obviously, because He's such a slut, and so he's always sleeping with people.
Right.
So him getting somebody pregnant is very believable, and like actually being like there for his kid and like all that. Like that's good stuff for him. Like he needed that, and that is ultimately how they write him off the show. Is to go.
He goes to be with her.
To be closer. Yeah, to his daughter. So that's good.
That's an acceptable way to write someone off the show.
Yeah.
Just deciding to spontaneously go to Africa is not it.
Listen,
which is what they do with Eric.
Ashton Kutcher had become he was the breakout star. He had become a huge
He was a big star at this point.
He was a huge star and had been for a lot of the run of the show and still continued to do the show. Now, Topher Grace, and this is nothing against him personally, but he had started, doing some movies and he got that role in Spider-Man 3. And I think he thought that was going to catapult him into like huge movie stardom, which I guess, you would think that. And he'd been doing this show for a while, and so he decided to stop after this season and not sign on, and then he did not become a huge movie star, which is unfortunate.
I don't have a whole lot of positive things I say about Spider-Man 3, but I will give it this. It's better than season 8 of that 70s show.
It sure is.
It sure is.
It sure is.
Not even close. Really not even close.
Can we just... Yeah, I know you want to talk about Randy. Can we do it quickly? We're ending this on the two worst things. Randy and Danny Masterson.
Randy and Danny Masterson.
It's
Josh Myers, younger brother of Seth Meyers, I believe. Right? Mm-hmm. He's brought on in the last season. So they introduce this other character at the end of the 7th season. They shoehorn in. They
it's bad.
God, you can. It's like you've jumped the shark at this point. It's like when the Brady Bunch has the cousin show up.
No, yes.
Cousin, whatever his name is. They shoehorn in this character of Charlie for like a couple episodes.
He's supposed to be.
He's supposed to be the new Eric.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, then after the 7th season, he gets on another show.
Yep.
That gets picked up.
Reaper,
so
wasn't it?
So he can't do it. Huh?
Wasn't it Reaper? I think that's the show he was on.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And so he can't do it. So they say he fell off the water tower and died.
Yeah.
And instead, we're going to introduce the new character of Randy, who is a employee at the record store that Hyde owns because of his rich biological dad he found. Yeah, the later seasons are not great.
No, they're not great. They're not great.
And Randy, they're basically...
Also, don't worry, Hyde's going to marry a stripper. Or already has married a stripper.
That happens as well. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Him and Jackie broke up and he went... It doesn't. Josh Myers was originally hired, Amy, to play the character of Eric Foreman.
Really?
The original plan was that... So Eric leaves for Africa at the end of season 7. The plan was he comes back at the beginning of season 8. Only now he's played by Josh Myers, and he's like a grown and changed man, and they make jokes about how he looks different.
No! Okay, that would have been worse. That's actually the only way it would have been
wisely, in one of the few good decisions of the last season, they scrapped that idea.
Thank God. Oh, Jesus.
And they're like, okay, we're going to introduce this new character of Randy, and he's basically going to be the replacement for Eric and Kelso. So he's going to be kind of like like a himbo sort of ladies' man, but he's also going to be like sensitive and like Eric,
and Donna's love interest,
Donna's love interest that we're definitely going to care about. In eight seasons in. The response was not great. In fact, I think in the finale he's only in like one scene briefly.
Yeah, and poor Josh Myers, because it has nothing to do with him.
It's not him. It's not him at all.
It's no. And he probably knew. He's like,
it's the material.
It's the material. He didn't have a lot to work with.
No.
And also, nobody gives a shit about him. Like, nobody cares about Randy.
Also, his name's Randy.
That's terrible. It's all around just terrible.
Yeah. Speaking of terrible.
Oh, God. Yeah. Go ahead.
Do you want to do it?
I don't.
Do you? Okay.
I don't. Well,
look, we don't have to spend a lot of time on it. I think if you followed the news at all, you know that Danny Masterson is a rapist.
Yes.
And during the run of the show, raped several women. Mm-hmm. It has now been proven in court. In 2017 and 2018, several women came forward and accused him. After that, a couple more came forward. He was charged in 2020 with 3 counts. One with raping a 23-year-old woman in 2001, a 28-year-old woman in 2003, and a 23-year-old woman in 2003 also.
Okay.
So this has been after an investigation. On top of all of this, Masterson is a member of the Church of Scientology.
Yeah.
Which is like a, cult. A cult.
Yeah. And Laura Prepon also became
Illuminati
a member.
cult. Laura Prepon did become a member. She left.
Not anymore.
She's not anymore.
No,
okay.
She's
well,
been out for
that's
a couple
good.
years. That is good.
The church engaged, as they do, in a trying to cover all this up, making them enemies of the church, basically, by coming forward with their accusations.
Yep.
Engaged in a nice little harassment campaign, intimidation.
Yep.
One of the women, one of Masterson's victims, is the wife of the lead singer of At the Drive-In and the Mars Volta.
Really? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know
Yeah, actually, there's a Mars Volta song about this.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. I love the Mars Volta.
Yeah, oh yeah. So, yeah, all of this has been going on for several years, and
Yes.
I don't think we need to go into any crazy detail, because if you've been following the news at all, it's been in the news, especially over the last year.
Because they finally went to trial.
They went to trial last year, and there was a mistrial declared, and then they did a retrial earlier this year in the spring and found him guilty on 2 of the 3 charges. They're not going to retry this 3rd one, apparently.
Okay.
But just about 2 months ago, not even 2 months ago, Danny Masterson was sentenced to 30 years to life in prison.
As he should be.
He's not eligible for parole until he has served 25 and a half of those years.
Fuck, good.
So, at the very least, he is in prison for 26
years. Good.
And a half years.
Good.
At the very least. So, he is where he needs to be.
Yes, exactly.
And hopefully no one else gets hurt, and hopefully all of his victims are doing okay.
Yes, that is what we want. Yes.
And
I'm glad that we can. I'm honestly, Justin, I'm glad that we can say that this is how that ended.
At least,
and it's just as recent as 2 months ago, is to say that yes, he was found guilty, and he is.
The whole situation's terrible, and it sucks. But at least we can say that there's justice done.
Yes.
And
exactly.
And yeah, I hate that the legacy and memory of this show is tainted by that, but that bummer pales in comparison to his actual victims.
Oh yeah.
So it's kind of hard to be like, oh, I feel bad because I feel guilty for watching this show or whatever.
Yeah.
When I'm not a victim of anything
exactly
in this case. So
yeah.
I think we just wanted to acknowledge that, and glad he is going away where he can't hurt anybody.
Exactly.
And the rest of them are doing okay. I mean, you did have the Ashton Kutcher Mila Kunis letter thing.
Yeah, which I don't. I think that's an interesting. I would say that probably behind closed doors, quite a few of them are still in support of him because they are friends with him.
That was certainly, it was in bad taste, bad timing.
It was, it was. And I imagine it is difficult to be friends with someone who has done those things, and that I can imagine that's a hard thing to want to believe. And I don't know that they ever denied that those things happen. I think that letter was written in order to try to lessen his sentencing. It was a character, so, it's not in great taste. But again, I try to, I've watched this show once through since all of this has come out. And I mean, it does. It's kind of like weird, but I love the show, so, I'm able to still watch it and enjoy it despite some of that real life stuff,
Well, and despite the high note, relatively, of him going to prison, being the end of that story,
Yes.
let's end on another high note. Tell us about that 90s show, because as we have learned, if nothing else on this podcast, what was old is new again.
And then also new again.
And then also new again.
Yeah.
We've gone from 70s nostalgia in the 90s to 90s nostalgia in the 2020s.
Yes. Yeah, so...
And that is our bread and butter here on the Cool Kids Club.
It really is. It really is.
That's what we do.
So early this year, January of this year...
It's been a big year in the world of Point Pleasant.
God, it really has. For better, for worse.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so in January of this year, they premiered that 90s show, which of course we knew was coming. And this follows Leia Foreman, of course, which is Donna and Eric's daughter in the 90s. The math ain't mathin' on this, but it's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine. It's like 1995, and she's already 15, and I'm like, okay.
I mean, she could have. I mean, if they got pregnant right when
immediately.
Well, I think that's the thing. They're saying she got pregnant right after he got back.
That's probably fair.
That's the only way that she could be that old. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, set in 95, the last good year.
That's right.
No,
you do
that was
have
2001.
That's true. Never forget.
That's the first part.
You do have guest appearances by Topher Grace and Laura Prepon and Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis and Wilder Valderrama and Tommy Chong and Don Stark, who plays Bob.
Bob comes back.
Bob, yeah, he's got an episode, but the premise is that Leia comes to spend the summer with her grandparents, Red and Kitty, and you're back in the old house. And, of course, she meets Kelso and Jackie's son, one of their kids, and some other folks, and kind of forms her own little gang. And Kitty and Red give them the basement, and everything is reborn, and you're off to the races.
With the hijinks.
Yes, the hijinks. And it's good. I liked it. It's more, I loved being back there. I loved, like, being back in the basement and, like, being back at Red and Kitty's house. And they do some fun stuff. Some of the characters are annoying, but that's every show. So, but I liked it. I overall liked it. What about you?
Same. Yeah. It's been renewed for a second season, which
I'm
happy about.
Yep.
It's not perfect, but what is? And for a quick little funny show to watch over the course of a couple days, you could do a whole lot worse. I liked it. And if nothing else, it just gives me that hit of nostalgia serotonin that I need, just being back in the Foreman basement,
Well, and it's nice because, Eric and Donna, they kind of fix what they mess up.
Yes, with Eric and Donna, and with of the kids, Fez has the largest role.
He does. He's
in the season. He's a recurring character.
Yes, and he's still in the town, which I guess so are Kelso and Jackie, but they're only in one episode, I think. But yeah, so hopefully, I'm excited to see some more cameos from them in the season 2, and more Red and Kitty. And
yeah. No mention of Hyde, no mention of Lori or Midge either.
No. Which I thought interesting that they may have at least mentioned Midge. I mean,
Midge had pretty much been written off by the end.
I guess
anyway.
That's true. Yeah,
if you're not aware, that actress passed away a couple years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Tanya Roberts. So they don't mention her, and she's not with Bob, I don't think.
That's true. That's true.
But yeah, no mention of Lori either.
Yeah, I thought they would have at least made a nod to her,
given her a line or something to explain what happened to her.
I thought they may have said something nice about oh, she's living in France, or kind of giving her a happy ending.
Yeah,
as
I believe the last thing that's said about Lori is sometime after the last time she appears, because she just disappears. Mm-hmm. And then Eric makes mention of her going to Canada because bottomless dancing is legal there.
Oh, God. Yeah. It would have been nice if they'd given her a little something, because...
Well, we're getting a season 2, so maybe we'll get a happy ending for Lori.
Yeah, that would be nice, because that actress did not have a happy ending, so it would be nice to honor that, but...
Well,
yeah.
I say we have a happy ending,
yes.
and do some plugs.
Let's do some plugs.
Do some plugs, Amy. What do you got? What do you got?
Well, if you want to follow us on social media, you can find us over on Twitter, not X, and also on Instagram at Cool Kids Club Pod. You can also search for us on Facebook if you search for Cool Kids Club Podcast. You can also find any of our episodes wherever you found this one: Spotify, Apple,
wherever that was,
podcast.
I'll bet they're all there.
I bet they're all there. Yep, all 66 of our previous episodes.
Oh, and what a collection it is.
That's right.
We're really racking them up, aren't we?
We really are. We should have waited and done this as the 70th.
You know, I thought of that.
Or the 76th. Yeah.
Oh, damn it.
Damn it. Scrap it.
All right. Scrap it.
Scrap the whole
do it
thing.
Again.
It'll be the lost episode.
I don't have time to do another one before Friday.
No, I don't either.
Check out Blue Barn Cage if you like me talking about wrestling. We go live on many Saturdays. Not every Saturday, but on many Saturdays to talk about what's going on in the wrestling world and wax nostalgic a little bit about wrestling. So if you like that, check out Blue Barn Cage.
Yes, absolutely.
Also, as always, shout out to Brian Hey Guys Wakefield and all the cool stuff he does. Gonna go to Boo Fest, a little post-Halloween celebration this weekend. Keep the Halloween train rolling for a couple more days, because I got Boo Fest to attend this weekend with Brian and his daughter. BrianWakefieldMusic.com is where you can find all the awesome stuff he does. So creative and so talented, and just a great dude.
Yeah,
a friend to all.
A friend to all, great and small. That's true. Well, thank you guys for listening to yet another episode of Cool Kids Club, and until next time, just stay cool, I guess. Stay groovy.
Ooh, stay groovy.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's do that.
I'm gonna stay.